Frank Sepe for Muscle and Fitness. Very happy to be back in the new year for Muscle and Fitness Fit to Serve. I am here with my partner, Robert Wilkins. Rob, who's our guest today?
Well, it's first of all, Happy New Year, everybody. Happy New Year, Frank. Happy New Year, Ernest, and all of our fans out there and our supporters. We appreciate your support last year. We had over 1 million views, with our various podcasts. We really appreciate your support. So we wish you all happiness, joy, prosperity, and good health in 2023. And our first guest for 2023 is a friend of mine, fellow veteran, Army vet, Ernie Colling, who is going to tell us about his company. He's going to tell us a little bit about his service. His company is Transcend. He's going to tell us about his service in the Army. He's going to tell us about what he's doing with Transcend and some of his goals for this coming year. So welcome, Ernie. We're glad to have you. And tell us a little bit about where you're from and even about what made you join the Army, what made you consider serving our country in the Army instead of the Air Force.
The Army would take me. We'll start there.
Okay.
Especially back then. From suburban Detroit, born and raised, and I think it was like 19. And I won't give the year, date myself too bad, but it was pre 9/11. I was just out of the high school. College wasn't my thing, and I really didn't like working in the machine shops. It just wasn't also for me. I needed more adventure, and I also needed more structure. So for me, going in the military was definitely the way to go. I liked the idea of being a soldier and having that structure and being able to do something. I always liked sports, so being in something that was a more physical seemed like a better fit. The recruiter saw me coming and 11 X-ray. That's where you should go. You'll be in the infantry. You'll love it. It'll be perfect. You'll get to do a lot of outside activities, those kind of things. And he was right. Stayed outside
Ernie,
a little bit.
were you in shape when you joined the Army, or did you get in shape while you were in the Army?
So I've been in really great shape right up until about the time that I joined the Army. And I just, kind of started relaxing and, getting that 10, 12 pounds on from eating, mom's food and not doing the sports and things, but I wasn't too bad. Once I got in the military, I embraced running, embraced the cardio side of things, not so much the weightlifting as I had in the past, but it was a great experience to be able to do that. So
Couldn't have been as bad as enduring the 40 years of horrible football. As a New York Jet fan, I feel your pain.
Oh God, yeah.
Which
Thank God this year for Dan Campbell and this year's Lions. It's not the same old Lions.
No, it's the same old Jets though. 5 in a row.
So Ernie, when you left basic training, what was your first assignment, and what was your duty that you did there?
First assignment, it was in Korea, and I actually ended up in a specialized unit. I thought I was going to go to 2ID like everybody else, and I ended up going to 8th Army, and I was listed in the honor guard. I was confused because, I'm 5'10", not 6 foot, exactly clean cut what they look for, and it ended up being a different unit, Tactical Air Naval Ground Operations, Tango Security Force. It was a Cold War relic, like a Cheyenne Mountain, so to speak, that was kind of posted outside of the west side of Seoul. Really tiny, obscure unit, but it was cool. It was like an underground aircraft carrier, and I spent a little over 2 years there, actually, just getting to know the culture. We had a lot of Korean counterparts that worked closely with us, so we got to do a lot of combined joint kind of defense things, and it was good. I liked it.
And what about the food? Did you enjoy Korean food?
I did very much so. Kalbi, the little short ribs, and
Right.
all the things there were just phenomenal. All the ramen soups with all the extra stuff in it.
Sure.
Perfect when it was freezing cold out in the winter there. Which I was hoping I'd go somewhere warm when I went in the military. I was like, yeah, somewhere warm would be great. Korea's not warm.
Right. So when you joined and you're going to a remote location like that, how were the training facilities? Because I had a similar experience in the Air Force, but the training facilities, because we were remote, they were spectacular. We really had a really nice place to work out. The equipment was brand new. They kept the facility up to snuff. So How about there where you were in Korea? Was the equipment new or kind of past
So
its due date?
on the small base that we were staying at, where we go to and from, that wasn't so great. It was a little bit past the state, to say the least. They did the best with what they had. It was definitely serviceable. You could definitely get a good workout in there. They had a lot of fields for sports and racquetball court, basketball, all the things that you would see on a normal base. They were just a little weight room could have used a bit more help, but we had a bus that we could take right into Seoul, and then we could get in Youngstown, and they had a brand new gym, brand new facility. So on the weekend, if we didn't have duty, we just go in and go use that, and come back, make a day out of it. It wasn't too bad.
Other some athletes that we've interviewed in the past, that people that they serve with inspired them from physical standpoint. I mean, some people they serve with were professional athletes now, or they're in the IFBB Pro League. It's just inspired them to get in better shape. Was there anybody that you came across that you served with that you're still friends with, or inspired you in that way?
There is one that did inspire me, and he was amazing. I did lose track of him. I think it was kind of because his military career path put him more on the special ops side, which coincides with his physical fitness level. But his name was Sergeant Chavez, who's a fire team leader, my first fire team leader. And he just had a way of getting something done immediately, like head first, head down, he'd make it happen. I remember we were doing like a overland. We were just doing some land nav and trying to navigate through some of the mountains. And he was looking at the topography, and he saw, well, this is the quickest route between A and B, but it was over a mountain. And he didn't even, he just rucked up, zip, zip, and he was gone. He was jogging. He's in the woods and going across, boulders and stuff, and he's just scaling things. We're just looking at each other like, is he serious? And within 2 minutes, we looked and like, well, he's serious. He's not stopping. So we're going to have to keep up. So, I mean, from that moment on, I looked up to him.
It's funny, like obviously you know better than I do, but it's almost like a secondary big brother or family to someone that you kind of look at to not push you, but you want to get to the level of where they're at, and they inspire you. I know we were talking to a celebrity fitness trainer, Mark Jenkins, and he actually went in. He was hysterical. He went into the service, and he's like, "I went in, Frank, with these giant man boobs, and this and that." And he basically came out. He said, looking like he could be in a fitness magazine. So it's, I think people have expectation that don't have that high of expectations because they don't think they can reach that level. So now this guy that obviously you serve with, helped you like say, hey, I could achieve this if I just tried. Did that help you with your business moving forward, like that kind of mentality?
Oh yeah. Just to see, the challenges and the way he took them on, that stuck with me. And I was very fortunate, and many times in my career, I had a lot of leaders that were like that, whether it was with how they just led soldiers or projects. They just had a really good approach where they, were able to take a complicated challenge. And what they took out of it was the work needs to be done. It's not a time to complain. It's a time to go just get the work done. So it was that consistency, right? And that discipline. And, that's what I took away from it more than anything, were those two values. And, I've carried those over into Transcend. And that's something that we preach. Be consistent, have the discipline, do the work, make sure you're doing the work for the patients, make sure it's everything that they need, put them first. It's the same thing, right? The leadership eats last in the military. You want everyone else to come through first. It's the same thing for us. Take what we get later, but make sure we give what's necessary, the attention it needs.
Seems to be a common theme too with other people we interviewed, is that what they learned in the military, if they are a successful business person, they use the fundamentals that they met and the structure they learned in the structure in the military into their life after. What I wanted to ask you is, Matt Hesse from FitOps obviously put together a program for vets to find placement jobs as trainers and such. When you came out of the military, what did you do? Like, did you have a career path? I mean, I know you were at Transcend, have an amazing company now, but kind of take us through that process. Like, you're out of the military now, and like, did you have a path?
Oh, I got out, but I got out in 2004. I was, one time in, just one term and out.
Mm-hmm.
So contracting was erupting, private contracting especially in security, private security, and in the intel side. So I got signed up right away. In fact,
Okay.
before I even ETS'd, I was getting ready to out process, and I got an offer letter right out to my commander. I'm like, hey, look, I got a job offer. He's like, okay, well, we'll help you clear sooner. So, I got out,
Get out.
went home, was there for like 20 days, and I was on a plane going right to Iraq, going right to back to do private security. And I did that for a little bit. It was okay. I wasn't with a really good or prestigious type of outfit over there. It was a little bit haphazard. So
No Whitney Houston, like the bodyguard.
yeah, no. We were doing convoy security, so that was essentially trucks riding with trucks to, make sure they didn't get hijacked.
Oof.
But yeah, the fun stuff. Ironically, one of my squad leaders from that former unit I was in was actually there working for one of the agencies as a contractor in logistics. And I ended up getting into it was a pretty decent firefight, and it ended up causing casualties. And at that point, ended up on the news and stuff, again, way back in the day. And he saw it. He's like, hey, I know that guy. I know where he's at. So, he ended up coming over to our camp, and he's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, making money, doing what everyone, was doing that got out.
Yeah.
He's like, don't do this, man. This is not what you want to be doing. It's like, come over to my camp, come meet my boss. And, I did. Literally had like an on the spot interview. I'm like covered in dirt and stuff. I literally just gotten back from that mission. So I'm talking to this guy, and he's asking me questions and everything, and I'm just like, look, I'm happy to not do what I just did. So if it's anything better than that, just tell me what you want from me. And he's like, well, go pack your bags, come back here. We're going to send you back to the States, and we're going to put you through our process, and you come back. That's exactly what I did.
So how did you make the jump from that to Transcend?
Right. Yeah.
It's a long story.
From here to here.
Yeah, I finished a degree, and I had a friend that just signed on with a private industry IT, and they were a project manager. They needed another person, so I threw my hat in, and I actually got it. So the job offer moved us out of DC and down into Richmond, but I learned just a ton about like search engine optimization, point of sale, just basically e-commerce and how that all works and how that all plays together. The whole time that I did the deployments and I did everything else, working out in fitness was 100% my stress relief that kept me, sane, kept me balanced. So, now that I had more time, my wife started working out more, and she was competing and doing all these great things. And I started noticing that I was declining. So I was like, gotta do something about this. I did everything I could, and I just could not make any progress. So eventually I got blood work done, and it turned out hormones were off and things needed to be updated. So got that done. But it kind of clicked to me at that point in time, like, this should be more mainstream. People need to know about this. This is just, completely changed my life, and it didn't take long for me to feel the effects. I kept working in the IT industry and kept learning more and more. And then eventually my wife and I moved back to suburban Detroit, and I got linked up with a company that was in this area, and COVID hit. And, there was no way to get to a clinic, and things were just hard to, come by. And I just thought about it. I'm like, why don't I just do this? Why don't I just do this online? Why can't this be done by telemedicine? So I started looking and seeing the legalities, what has to happen with physicians and medical directors and malpractice insurance and, pharmacy dispensing of medications in different states and everything else. And it was complex, but it was doable. Again, it came down to consistency and just do the work. So I same approach every day after work. I went back to work and kept working on my business plan, kept working on the approach, kept figuring it out. And then eventually I got with Jesse Kessler, a business partner. And he had a book of business from doing this for years. And I said, hey, let's try this. Let's do it this way. I think we could reach more people. I think there's some value here. And he told me no. And I went back, and he told me no again. but he gave me really good reasons that I'll never forget this. He said, I'm loyal to the company I'm with. I like what you're talking about, but I need to talk to them and see if they're going to give me any opportunity. I need to give them the right of first refusal, right? Let them partner with me. And if they're not, then, you know, you and I will talk more seriously. And that was a value I took, you know, as a compliment. They had their conversation, and, you know, it really didn't go the way he wanted it to. And, you know, when I went back this time, I was armed to the teeth, like, here, I'll give you all these things. And he's like, yeah, let's do it. Great. You know, I think that was November of 2020. I'm like, yeah, I'm getting website going. Great. We'll be ready to go in January 2021. He's like, no, you need to do it this weekend. I have patients that are waiting orders. Like, it's now. It's right now. So literally, you know, him, one of his friends, myself, and my wife Jennifer, who's also a founding member of Transcend, we're in our basement and, you know, calling vendors and getting things set up and accounts, and got it online. And in a weekend, we had it up and running and started taking orders. We're working out of the basement. And for the first 9 months, I kept my full-time job while running and growing.
So that was your side hustle.
It was my side hustle until I just couldn't be anymore.
And there, Ernie, what you just described is, as you know, a lot of military folks, they have a very difficult transition. When you're in the military, you basically know where you stand. You walk into a room, you can see structure. You see the rank on their arms, on their sleeves. You see the ribbons that they've earned in the decorations. But you can get out of the military and the structure is not the same. And the person who may be the youngest, maybe even in some cases not as polished, can be the owner of the company. And that causes lots of angst for military people. So, you know, with many of them getting out now, I think your lessons of finding something that you love to do as a passion may be something that helps them with their transition. You know, as opposed to looking for a job, look for something you love and try to make that a career, as opposed to just getting something that just pays your bills, because you probably won't be happy if that's what you do.
Yeah, agreed. And I think the other thing they can do is look how you can contribute and help. Take the lessons you learned in the military and be a force multiplier. Don't go in, you know, with the whole rank and file, you know, on your sleeve. You know, there's a point in time where, you know, some of that crosses over. But for the most part, in civilian, you know, corporation, that's not quite the, you know, the rank and file is how it's established. So take that military training and mindset and just apply it. People will notice it. They'll see it. And, you know, they look for that. They look for the people that are organized, that are on time, that have the work ethic. You know, even if they don't have the necessarily 100% training, somebody who is trainable and coachable and take direction and it has, you know, critical thinking skills is, you know, extremely valuable. So
what was the
open mind?
What was the biggest marketing obstacle that you had with Transcend?
Two things. One, the taboo, the, you know, the type of medication, right? You know, there's a stigma that goes along with it.
Yes.
And then convincing everybody that once they got over the stigma, how to put it out on social media, right? Because you put the wrong thing out or it's portrayed in the wrong light and it'll get pulled, you know, or blacklisted or shadow banned or all the other, you know, terms that go with it. So we had to just be very careful with making sure that we were talking about blood work and the importance of it and how that tied into things. And then the protocols and the information, as we built up more followers and time and education and had more influencers and were able to kind of control that narrative and responsibly scale it, you know, that we were able to kind of put more out there. And we're still careful to this day too, because you got to be respectful and make sure that people know and understand it's for a specific reason.
It's amazing how things change over the years. Like my dad was a narcotics detective and spent probably 10 years in Harlem chasing people who were smoking marijuana. And it was like the biggest taboo thing. And now to walk down the streets of Manhattan, you can't walk down the street without smelling it somewhere. And there's Weed World on Penn Station and everything else. It's just like, I think, you know, the number one thing with Transcend and the people I've come across is education. There's, you know, on, you know, look, you can look great in the gym, in the mirror, and on the mags, whatever. But if you don't check your blood, you have no idea what kind of really good shape you're in as far as from a health standpoint. I think people put too much. It was like I was saying on the show the other day, Muscle and Fitness. It was funny. I'm like, you guys spend 3 hours in the gym, but you don't go to the dentist. Like, might want to go to the dentist, but Yeah, I think education is key because there's such a taboo around hormones and this and that. But it's like it's a necessity for some people. I had a friend who was an ex-bodybuilder, ex-Marine too, and we went out to dinner the other night. He's like, "You know what my testosterone level is?" I'm like, "I don't know what." He goes, 3. I go, 300. He goes, "No, 3." He's like, so I went and he's like, I'm taking this and this, and I feel so much better. He's like, I'm 60 years old. I never felt better. I think, education is key. I mean, for any of this stuff, because I think a couple of companies ruined it in the fitness industry when they first started. Because, like, when I talk about Transcend, I talk about how legitimate they are, and that if you're looking for hormones, you have to get blood work and a consultant, a doctor, and the peptides are going to school you on everything, and everything's legit. And then previously, maybe 10 years ago, people were like, oh yeah, meet me at the back end of this place, and I'll throw it in your car window. It's like, so it's not like that. That's the kind of message that when people talk to me about Transcend, and I'm like, no, it's 100% legit. You need this, you need that. It's not about looking like, Mr. Olympia. It's about being healthier.
Yeah, and we just had a niche in the fitness industry, because we did talk to a lot of bodybuilders, in
Yeah.
that industry. So that was even why we had to be more careful, right? Because of
Mhm.
the taboo that goes with the sport, and I honestly saw it as an opportunity, and so did a lot of the athletes. They still do,
Yeah.
just because of the negative effects that sport had felt from improper use of it. And I think a lot of affiliates that we have, they want to speak to the positive side of it, what it's really supposed to be used for, because there's really no value in using it. At the end of the day, your body is only going to utilize so much of it. The rest of it's going to become side effect. You're going to have negative things that are going to happen. So you don't need tons of medication. You need to have the right amount for you, which is different than everybody else. The only way you're going to find that out is if you get blood work done, talk to the physician, and we know and understand your goals and what you're trying to do. So we know how to customize and put that together. And that's one of the things that's really different is we have an advocate, a wellness specialist, that talks to the patient constantly. And they're kind of the conduit between the physician and the patient. So there's someone who's always there. It's really guided and controlled. So
It's the
so far it works.
personalization. Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a cookie cutter program, and everybody has their own personal needs. I know I did my protocol through Transcend through Jesse, and was 100% great. Like, I've been in shape my whole life. So for somebody to say, oh my God, you're on this, and this, and now you look like that. No, I've looked like this my whole life, but I am much healthier. I have more energy, which obviously gives me more drive in the gym and everything else. So that's going to transcend into a better physique or whatever. But my goal wasn't to be, oh, I want to be this, and this. I just wanted to be healthier too.
Yeah.
So seeing the levels that you have, you kind of, you're like, oh, I didn't know I was deficient in that. Well, how would you? But you got a blood test,
Yeah, and there's no like magic. Oh, that's what I need.
Yeah.
You gotta see what's under the hood. You gotta get the blood work
So,
done.
Right. And
And then
Ernie,
it's
I
all
think
about
what you're
health in it. Go ahead.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
And Ernie, what you're doing is you're helping provide that education and that knowledge that folks need, because once they know that there is a reliable, fact-based source to go to, then you can help change the stigmas that come with this. Because living overseas, being in the military almost 30 years, living in Europe, going to Asia and going many places, these are common practices, and they have been, 30, 40 years ago, people were doing this. Like Americans were going overseas to get this done. So, I think by providing this service and being upfront about what you do, how you do it, the medical staff that you have, maybe in the future providing podcasts and seminars, working with the Veterans Administration, and especially our service members. Many of them have had multiple deployments where their bodies are just so broken down and their cortisol levels are so high. So this can be something that really benefits them and their families. And I think that you're going to be providing a great service, more than just the cosmetic. It's going to be about making them feel back to where they used to feel. For all those who sacrifice for our country, they deserve this opportunity.
Hopefully better too. With Frank, like I was about to say, it's the longevity that you're going for. You want to be able to keep doing what you've been doing and look good and feel good for as long as you possibly can. So that's what this is about. And from the other side of it with the military, absolutely. We started Transcend Foundation, and our goal there is to work with a lot of like-minded charities and kind of have a council where we can look at the patients that need our help, that were soldiers, firefighters, police, first responders, that kind of stuff, and just really individualize everything for them and give them what they need, and do it at no cost or very low cost if there is any. But we get to dip into other things like mental health, financial, spiritual, all those other areas that are even beyond what we do here at Transcend. So we're really trying to build that network, that community on the foundation side. Similarly, we had in the military, right? There's all these different aspects to a unit that supported what they were trying to do. So same approach, and just working on that. But I do believe the approach with having preventative types of medicine versus reactive, which is our traditional healthcare system, it's important. And I think being able to do that is we've got to secure that longevity and make people feel better in the long run, especially those that are, unfortunately, they're trained. You look at somebody who's done 20 years in the military, and then when they get out, retire, 10 years later, they're on their deathbed. So there's a better way, and there's a better way to treat them long term.
Right. And, we have a friend, Dr. Reagan Stegman. She says that we hire the healthiest folks when they join the military. By the time they get out of the military, they're the unhealthiest folks in America. The average military person gains 30 pounds that first year when they're out of active duty. So, what you just described is someone I was talking to the American Legion, and they had a analogy like, for us to continue serving our country, it makes sense for us to stay in better shape, because by us staying in shape, we bring healthcare costs down. We also can inspire and motivate and provide that discipline for our network, be it our family, our friends, that we're doing something good for our health. So if we all do something collectively, we can bring these costs down, because we can no longer afford, I think it's $1 in every $3 goes toward our healthcare, and 16% of our GDP has to do with healthcare. Healthcare is the fastest rising industry where we just cannot sustain those costs. So what can we all do individually? It's doing things like we're doing here, talking about it, trying to eat better, sleep better, taking care of our mental and our financial health and our physical health.
Yes.
So again, I think Transcend has a great opportunity here to be a leader in all those fronts.
Well, you have people who want to join the military, but they feel like they're not in good enough shape. You have people who get divorced, who are looking for revenge bodies. You have people who every January, this is the year I'm going to start. There's a gym on every single corner. There's healthy places to eat and everything else. Everything works together. So when we tell people basically is, look, obviously your nutrition is key. Your training is key. However, if you don't know what's going on inside your body, you're not going to ultimately, hit the point that you want to, because you're basically pulling a rock behind you back on a string, because going uphill, you're making it hard for yourself. So, I know some people are skeptical about, peptides or this or that or whatever, but, you have to educate yourself, and through trial and error, you will find the best recipe for success. But if you just thumb your nose at it and say, well, I don't think so, because people just, they join a gym January 1st, they're out by January 7th. They never get in shape. They gain 5 pounds a year, and in 10 years, they're 50 pounds heavy. It makes that much more difficult. So when, we do our show Sleeveless, or we have tons and tons of people joined our programs and stuff, we say, listen, it's a great idea to go check out your blood, have your blood checked out and your levels, because you may be deficient. It's, no, I eat this and I eat this. Doesn't matter. So I was deficient in vitamin C. I didn't know I was going to get scurvy. I was like, I had no idea. Like that was one thing. So you don't know what you're deficient in, and it's not just from a looking good physically, but feeling good. I know a lot of people, have obviously mental issues and stuff, whether it's from the military or just kind of day to day, cortisol levels, depression, whatever. And there are certain peptides that I know firsthand that I've taken that raise your dopamine levels, that just, make you feel great. And when you feel great, you want to go to the gym, you want to train, you know, you don't want to stay complacent because complacency to us in the fitness industry is death.
Yeah.
You know, it's like we
Again,
won't do it.
consistency and discipline and
Yeah,
having that, and it's easier to have that if you're feeling good and you
of
have the
course, yeah.
motivation to go. You know, and a lot of people, the skepticism comes from, you know, they've worked with their traditional primary care physicians for so long, and even if they go in there to ask for, you know, certain labs, physicians like, why, you know, or you don't need
Yeah.
those, because it's just the way our healthcare providers have been trained for years. So there's a lot to overcome. But that's why, you know, companies like us exist, because we're non-traditional. We can take a different approach. We're able to give you a much more detailed look at what's going inside. It's affordable, and then you can make some of your own decisions, and then you will feel better, and then you'll have a much better chance of success to lose that 20 pounds, to not become sedative, to, you know, increase your libido, and to have an active life, you know, well into your, you know, mid 50s, 60s, whatever, you know, however long you want to. It's really up to you at that point to sustain it. So it's good to be able to have that opportunity. Just teaching people that it's there is the hard part.
Well, you have 70-year-old Mike O'Hearn now on me.
Yeah. 70, 80, you know.
He's old as a tree, but he's another. He just, you know, he just keeps progressing. He keeps getting better. He's just, you know, someone who fits that mode that we were just talking about. But talk about some of the people on the Transcend roster. You had 7-time Mr. Olympia, Phil Heath, Jeremy Buendia, Jason Poston, a very entertaining individual. You know, Mark Anthony, Steve. Well, there's a ton of people on there from all different.
We can't forget Thor.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I actually just posted a video of him. Jennifer Dory, Whitney Jones. Yeah, I mean, so
But
yeah.
for us in the military, one of his recent signings is Charjo Grant. Charjo Grant he made the biggest jump in any Olympian competitor. He went from 12th in 2021 to 4th this year, while getting promoted to lieutenant colonel, making him probably the highest ranking active duty military person in the IFBB Pro League. Yeah. And his wife is having a baby. So he's had all these things going on in his life, and he still found the discipline to come in 4th. And, you know, he's not done. Like the Olympia Roundup was saying, this guy's going to be a factor next year. So look out for him. So what made you think about working with Charjo, Ernie?
Definitely his dedication. Everything you just laid out, his values and his value system, his level of intelligence, and how he's able to keep those things together. Obviously, we're very attractive qualities that we look for in an athlete. And then obviously being military, prior military myself, and, you know, having a great deal of, you know, gratitude for that. I wanted an opportunity to have an active service member and bring them in as an athlete. You know, we work with Matt Cable, you know, Air Force retired. But to have somebody that was active duty, that was a unique experience. We wish he would have just got one more place. We would have been able to give him his medal. But next year, we'll make sure we do.
I thought Rob was going to say, you know, he went from 12th to 4th and still had time to get his wife pregnant.
Because of his energy.
Yes.
Well, you're full of jokes today from Charjo. I remember Mike was telling me when he went to school with George Washington, they used to drink milk. Now he's taking all these peptides and other things. So yeah, but that's awesome. But that's really awesome, Ernie, that these things that you're doing. And, you know, one of the reasons that, you know, I was really honored that Frank put all this together, this podcast, was between Jake Woods, Dan Solomon, Roger Lockridge, Jeff Tomko, and Frank. They're looking for ways that we can highlight those who serve our country. Yes. So they give us a Fit to Serve column. They've given us this podcast, and all the resources, they're donating this to us. There is no way that they're making any money. They just want to give back. This is their way of serving our country by supporting those. So, you know, when we highlight those stories, thanks to that kind of support, we're able to let brands know that here's a military person who might be a great brand ambassador or maybe a great spokesperson for your company. And by you hiring these folks, you've set the template. So now that we can say, if you're not sure how this is going to work, check out Transcend. Look what they're doing with our military personnel, because there are thousands of them out there that they would be great at what they do. They're disciplined. They are going to show up on time. They look great. They serve our country, and they would be great representation or provide great representation for our company, supplement company, clothing company, so be it. So we salute you guys, Frank,
Yeah.
and thank you as
Thank
well,
you.
Ernie, for what you do for our troops.
Thank you. Absolutely.
Working in different supplement companies over the year, and you know, it's just a common thread that the people who are in the military, they just maybe I'm biased or whatever. That's what I saw firsthand. They just have more structure. They're never late. They're always on time, and they're always the last people to leave, people to show up, and the last people to leave. You know, three of my best friends are the Marines. Like, you know, one of the biggest problems that we had with like hiring athletes and doing stuff is it's people just self-entitled, just bitch, 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 bitch. But the people who are in the Marines and all this stuff, they're like, you know, you don't know what I've been through. You know, like this is nothing. Oh my God, I have to stand at the Arnold Classic for 2 hours. Oh no, what am I gonna do? You know, they're getting grenades thrown at them in Afghanistan and things blowing up. They're like, you know, this is fine. Like, you know, they're happy to be there, always with a smile, always respectful. And, you know, so whatever little thing that I could do, I'm 100% in, you know, I'm just honored to be able to talk to, you know, people who have served and actually learn. And we've had some really great interviews with people and, you know, like, you know, we were talking about fit ops, and I was a part of that with Matt for a while, and just hearing some of the, you know, veteran stories of like, you know, how they couldn't find, you know, work and they didn't know what they were going to do after they got out of the military, and it's extremely sad. Now, I know that you started the Transcend Foundation. You want to talk about that, you know, and how we can help here at Muscle and Fitness and personally.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that the foundation is completely up and running, you know, you can go to the transcendfoundation.org, check out our website. We're taking electronic donations. You know, all those proceeds are going to either provide medications for, you know, veterans or VOs, firefighters, etc., that need them, or we're also allocating funds to, you know, other charities that are taking care of important veteran needs, those with TBI, mental health issues, things like that nature. In fact, when we got up and running, I think it was September of 2022 until just recently, Transcend has already been able to donate over $200,000 to specific charities and to provide services. And our goals are much greater and much larger this year. But for anyone who is interested in helping, please follow us on Instagram, Transcend Foundation, or go to the website transcendfoundation.org and then donate. Anything helps, and it's all going to a good cause.
One of the things that annoys me the most is that people like to talk. How can I help? How can I help? But they'll spend $6 on a cup of coffee at Starbucks, but they won't donate $5. Like, so don't be cheap out there in a new year. Go to the website and donate. Even $5 will add up. So if we get, you know, 5,000 people for $5, you know, so have a cup of coffee at home, you know, and donate to somebody who really needs the money.
Yeah, and the medications and the other charities we're partnering with, they really help. They really do a good service for those who need it. Especially on the mental health side too, we're finding that a lot of times people go into the mental health, but they don't look at their physical health beforehand, right? So how is somebody supposed to go through a therapy to help them become a balanced individual when their hormones are off?
Yeah.
So, you know, we started looking more into that, and then, you know, with TBI and some of the things that we have that can help, you know, repair some of those issues to certain extents. So we kind of pair those things together and then, you know, walk the veteran through to that next step. You know, they really go hand in hand. And then, you know, the funds that we receive, they follow the veteran hand in hand. So when they're done with us and they go on to that next To Give an Hour or, you know, whatever other foundation we're working with for that particular issue, then we're going to make sure that funding falls.
Well, you should say that because 2 years ago, someone recommended a wellness clinic for me. So I went to get my blood work, and so I get blood work, and I said, "Oh, is this?" He's like, "You should get this." I goes, "Is this covered under insurance?" Yeah. Is this covered under insurance? Is this covered under insurance? Yeah. Okay. Got a bill. My son too. I had him do his. Got a bill for $13,000 for the blood test for genetic mutation, like whatever. And I said simply, I'm not paying this. You know, I had to fight the insurance company, and I didn't have to pay, thank God. But I'm just saying that's why Transcend is so important, and you know, the legitimate because look, I'm in the industry. I could have went anywhere. I wound up in a place like this with a $13,000 bill. So the average person too, it's just a lot of snake oil people, salesmen and everything else out there. So that's why, I recommend Transcend, because I know firsthand that they're legit. And, we were talking about, I went to get my blood test for food allergies and everything else, because if I'm following a diet plan and I'm eating this food and I'm allergic to it, no matter what I do,
Yeah.
I'm not going to get, like, when I got my blood test, I was allergic to eggs, whey protein, and peanut butter. And I said, wait a minute. I go,
Oh.
are you telling me about the things that I am eating? He's like, no, 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 you're allergic to these things. Look at the test. I'm like, wow. And as soon as I cut those things out, that little bloat on my stomach went, no amount of sit-ups, no amount of, cardio was bringing it down. That change in diet, and I would have known unless I would have got the $13,000 test. But that's why, like, again, I just want to reiterate that point, that how important it is.
Yeah, and for the record, we're a little less expensive. So
Yeah.
between about 350 to 370, that's going to get you all the lab work up front that we would need, and that's the extensive full panels, all the hormones, checking the organs, all the stuff your primary care would check, and then everything else additional to that, and that also covers the physician fee for the entire year. So it's affordable, and if you have an HSA or an FSA, we can take that as well. We're private pay, so we don't accept insurance, but we do that for a very good reason, because there's very strict Medicare and Medicaid guidelines on how you can use medications that do certain things. And when you're private pay, certain guidelines you don't have to follow, which means we can do things a little different. And that's why we want to have that proactive approach versus, reactive traditional medicine. So there's specific reasons why we do things. But I want everybody to have full transparency. They come to the website and go to sign up, and they want to understand what they're getting for what they pay for. That those are why we're set up that way.
The place I went to is now a foot relaxation place. So
that's what 13,000 gets you.
Too much, too legit.
And Ernie, with many of the clients that are potential clients, probably not knowing what they don't even know, is there a place or somewhere on your website where they can ask most frequent questions, or is there a number that they can call? Because I think with the education would help convince a lot more people to do it than not to do it. So by having that opportunity to talk to someone who can walk them through, provide, again, evidence-based research, it could be a real great asset to help you convince someone that this is something that they should consider even greater than they did before.
Yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do it. The easiest way, you can go online to the website, on transcendcompany.com, and there's a frequently asked questions there. On Transcend HRT, which is our Instagram handle, there's videos on there from our wellness specialists that explain even in more detail those frequently asked questions, then go into some medications. We have testimonials from some patients. There's a lot of different opportunities, and the easiest way, there's an intake document. You can fill it out. It literally takes 30 seconds. It's going to go directly to one of our wellness specialists. They're going to get an alert the second it comes through, and usually within an hour to one business day at the most, you're able to talk to somebody live on the phone. There's no cost, and they'll explain everything to you in granular detail and make sure that you have all the information you need. Ask any question you want to, and then you can make your own decision. So it's a lot of different ways.
And it's for men, it's for women, right? For all, people of all ages, right?
Young and old. And going back to the young too, the generations that are trying to serve or the next generation to serve, we're finding, they're coming with natural hormone levels that are off just because of lifestyle, diet, things that are changed when we were younger. So we have other natural protocols and things that we're doing too to help a lot of the younger patients, become fit to serve, to be ready to take on that next challenge. So, anyone in any age, we're able to help.
Yeah, video games and fast food.
That does a lot more damage than you think.
Yeah, exactly.
And so with all these great things that you're doing, what is the future of Transcend? Where do you see yourself going in the next 1 to 3 to 5 years? And if there is anything that was like your wish list, you wish that you could be able to do something, what would that wish be?
Obviously, we want to continue to grow and scale the foundation and grow and scale the company. We want to be able to put on more events, provide more education, expand. I'd love to be able to work closer with the VA, to work closer with the Department of Defense, JSOC, and kind of get more into the details of things that we can do to prevent injuries for our soldiers, to make them better performance so they don't have health issues long term. The ones that have served and do have health issues, to get to the masses of them and be able to find, protocols that are simpler, more consistent, that can have, better term, long-term effects that are easier to gain access to than going through, 5 years of paperwork to get done. From a company perspective, we want to continue to grow. We want to continue to hire. One of the things that's really important to the company and to me personally is people. I'm not going to automate everything in this company. We're going to have things that are needed to have software and have compliance things, but we want to have actual people helping people that somebody you can speak with and understand and get the information and the education. It's a community. It's about instilling that culture from the top all the way through to everybody here and to anyone that we extend to. So it's important from that aspect to be able to continue it. And Rob, I think you saw that too when we were out in Vegas and we did the Olympia. We brought everybody, literally everybody, because we wanted everybody to be enriched in the experience and understand that there's going to be 30,000 people here today, and we need to get to everybody. We need to talk to them, and we need to make sure they know and understand who we are, what we represent, but who we are as people too. And we're more than just a brand and a company. We actually care about what we do.
Ernie, did you refer anybody as far as to a fitness program of some sort? Once they do the protocol, wherever, there's someone that you would refer, a company or something you would refer them to?
Yeah, I would. So when we're going more into the physical fitness side of the house, and you want to get on a protocol or program, we've teamed up with Mind Pump, and they've got their website, all the different programs that they utilize and what they're utilized for. Their podcast is amazing, and you can listen to those guys for hours, but they're extremely knowledgeable and they're easy to contact, get information back and forth. They have multiple different forums on Facebook. But it's really easy to pair up our protocols and then their workout programs, put those together and get to your best self. I highly recommend.
What's their philosophy for fitness basically? Is there
So they're into the functional fitness, compound movements, they follow NASM, but they're just very intelligent in their approach, and they understand body mechanics, biomechanics, how it works. And essentially, based on what your goals are, these are the programs and the types of exercises, things you need to consider and to do, and how to do them, properly with good explanation and great detail around it. So I like their philosophy in education. It's the same way we approach it in
real science?
Yeah, science.
Like the woodpecker workout, or
Yeah.
there's so much, like we had a show on a couple weeks ago about bro science, and we're just going back and forth about the stupidity of some things. And we always have the Instagram people like, oh, you did the push-up wrong. Did we really? But yeah, that's good to hear that it's based in solid science and such. And it's Mind Pump, right? Yep. Okay, cool.
Well, Ernie, thanks again for helping lead off and kick off our 2023 season. I think, with the top 3 New Year's resolutions have to do with nutrition, losing weight, and exercise. So all those categories there, you cover, and Mind Pump can also be a person to go to find out for more information. But people are starving for reliable information. So again, by providing these resources, if there's any links that you would like to share with us, let us know. We'll make sure we put them in the show notes. We look forward to working with you in the future. I know that we want to start going to military bases and doing seminars. Michael Hearn wants to do it. And some other folks, Frank himself would like to go. And we're looking at doing some things here in the Pentagon, actually, trying to get a seminar there, maybe in May, which will be Physical Fitness Month. So we're working on those and going to other bases because we want to give back to the military, which for you and I was a part of a structure who has helped create who we are, who has helped make us and provided that foundation. And I just think it's a great thing that you're doing for our service members, and we look forward to our continued relationship.
Absolutely. Very excited about what the future holds. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, Rob, for everything. It was exciting to be a part of the show today. And, I know what we have planned in the future, and, it's exciting to see what we'll be able to do.
Yeah, I totally appreciate Transcend, obviously you. And you know, we'd love to do a future show with some of the athletes and talk about some of the protocols that they on, and you know, and the levels they started, where they went, and you know how it changed their whole physique, mental, their bodies, mentally, physically, what have you. So that'd be great.
Frank, maybe we go out to Michigan. Ernie's going to make a world-class gym out there, so maybe we can go out there and do a podcast seminar and all that stuff. So
Had me at gym.
Yeah, coming this year.
Yeah.
Hopefully by mid-time this year, we've got the space in our office all allocated and ready to go. And now we're looking at some high-end equipment that we can get a nice Transcend Blue. And I think it should be real high class. It should be a great place to train when we get off and running. So obviously, you guys are both invited for our first workouts.
yeah, well, we're looking forward to it, and we'll have you back as a guest later on in the year. If there's anything we can ever do to help, help you with the work you're doing, especially for our troops and first responders, count on us. We can get it done for you. So,
Same here.
thanks again. Best to your staff there. They did a great job at the Olympia, and so I look forward to working with them in the coming months.
Thank you so much.
Rob. Thank you, Frank.
Thanks.
Take care, everyone. Good night.